Hello and welcome to Coffee and Catholics, a Catholic women's talk show podcast. I'm Stacy, one of your hosts, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm Alisha.
I'm Annie.
And I'm Lauren.
Hello and welcome to Coffee and Catholics. So this week is our anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
This is the end of year 3, and I guess going into year 4. Goodness grief, I can't believe it's been that long. But so just this year, a couple of stats, we hit over 80,000 downloads this year, total over the past 3 years, but that's still more than we ever imagined when we started this. We released 25 episodes this year. Out of those 25, we had 4 interviews, and we did 2 series, one over the virtues and one over fruits of the spirit, and it's just been a really crazy yet great year.
Yeah, it's been a really fruitful year for for our friendship. I think we've all kind of grown even more comfortable with talking with each other through while being recorded, and just our friendship has just continued to kind of strengthen just behind the scenes and everything as well. It's been just the blessings that's come from this group of women, just for me personally, has been just wonderful. And thank you again, Stacy, for coming up with this idea and asking us to participate.
It's pretty cool. Last week and over the course of the last 5 or 6 months, I've done several talks around the diocese, or in that vein of being or visiting with people. And this podcast, I'll mention that I'm a part of it. And at least everywhere I go at every talk, there's at least 1 or 2 people that's like, I love that podcast. And so I'm always so curious because, I'm like, what do you like about it? That's so great to hear, because we're just kind of a mess. But literally, they're very surprised that we do this out of someone's house, even though we talk about doing it out of our house all the time. I guess they just miss this. And the other thing that people say is, I was like, what do you like about it? And they say, it's just y'all are real. They're like, it just doesn't feel like you're polished. You're just real people.
Polished.
We are obviously a mess.
Yeah, we were not.
But I think it's cool that that's exactly what we wanted, and that we've had opportunities to polish and to refine, and we didn't and won't and don't want to. So I just think it's really cool that we're sticking to who we were, and that it's actually coming through to you guys, and that we sort of feel like we've been supported by our listeners too, because there's all these women that are identifying with us and saying to us, thank you for doing this, and it means something and it resonates with me. And really, I think that what people are looking for is just normality, just people that are like them. So I feel like I feel really lucky to be a part of this, because we have resisted that push to elevate and become more than we are. We've actually just stayed true to our roots. Let's not say it's bad if you don't do that. I just prefer to be kind of homegrown and homespun.
Yeah, the authenticity of things, and Stacy, the name of our podcast, Coffee and Catholics. We don't always bring up coffee or
hardly ever, and that's something we want to fix this year. That's on the goal list.
But the idea behind it is not that it's what's your favorite coffee or anything like that. It's this idea of women getting together and just chatting over a cup of coffee, or listening to this while drinking their morning coffee or tea, or as all of us at our table are with our water, because it's 1,000,000 degrees and 1,000% humidity. And yes, I'm a math teacher by education. I said 1,000%, and it really bothered me. I'm just going to point that out. But I said it.
It's that extreme.
It's that hot here. It's that hot here in Oklahoma.
It's okay to use hyperbole. Okay? Oklahoma, it sucks.
I don't know, people like Louisiana are like, you don't know humidity.
It does make it feel better to say, God, it is 8,000 degrees out here. And then you feel like, oh, it's not.
Making a point. It's fine. It's fine.
But just like that whole, getting back to that, this is what we are doing, is that we're just sitting around and just chatting and talking about things that are important in our lives, and we find that have helped us in growing and learning about and in our own faith journeys. And that's what kind of conversations, like, I feel like we as Catholic women need to be having just with our friends. Like, we need to have those friends that we get together with and are talking about things that are real and that help us grow, not just complaining about our kids or our husbands or the fact that it's 8 billion degrees outside. 8,000, whatever.
8,000.
We're really exaggerating now.
It's really hot, y'all. My legs are stuck to this chair.
Oh my gosh, that's why I don't like wearing shorts in the summer. Because like, I
painful when you get out of the chair.
You do, and you have to like you get out, go in the van, and like in the van or whatever, I get to where I'm going, and I'm like peeling my leg off of the seat. It sucks.
I didn't wear my leggings with my dress the other day. You know how I'm always in leggings. And
yes, our listener, she's always in leggings.
I'm always in
They're
leggings.
always so cute.
And I got out of this chair. I about screamed. I was like, It has been so long since I have not worn leggings with a dress. I had forgotten the horror.
And also, and this might be an ample size issue. All you skinny girls out there maybe not understand this part of it exactly, but like, when you have some extra on your thighs and you try to get up out of a chair that you've been in for a while, there's physical pain. Because the skin has kind of fused with the chair, and it's like molding, it's like peeling off. It's very painful.
It's worse when
the
it's humid
sweat.
and hot.
It's the sweat. It like
hot.
suctions your leg to the seat.
It's
and
like
then you have
canning.
more surface area.
You have made the seal.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
It's like canning, said Stacy. Somebody record that.
We did record it.
Oh, right.
You're right, we're recording.
Back to fat thighs. Things that matter. Not that I'm saying any of you have fat thighs. I'm speaking for myself with the peelage. Because it is a work of suffering to get up.
It's the cross that you
chair.
bear. Well, and I will say, like, with the coffee and Catholics, and I think I've said this before, my husband makes fun of us because he's like, none of you drink coffee. Like, you never talk about coffee. Like, what
I
is
drink coffee, just not while we're recording.
Well, yeah.
It's usually so
Red time.
Well, and I started drinking coffee recently, and I was like, suck it, husband. So, I'm just saying.
Great.
Yeah.
See what you drove me to.
Sometimes I have to drink coffee on the way here, otherwise I won't talk. Because,
Right.
like, and then
Or I have to stay awake.
Yeah.
By the time I get home, I have to take melatonin.
We do this late.
to
We do
sleep.
this at night, and we like to talk for long periods of time, and
Yeah.
before recording, and then in between recordings. And so we're here until like 11 o'clock at night, and everybody's just dead tired. So you have to drink the coffee.
And Laura and I have to drive
early
like
one,
an hour.
actually. Like, we've
Yeah.
been here later than that.
We
We've
have
been
been.
here till like
Yeah.
1 and 2. Because we'll just get going, and we're like, we're just
Well,
hanging
yeah.
out.
I gotta be able to get
Sometimes it's
home
the
and
only
take
time
a-
we see each other. We meet
Yeah.
once a month, and sometimes it's the only time we see each other. So there's a lot to process and discuss.
Yes, because we have the texting thing, but it's
Yeah.
personable.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, okay, getting back to the podcast thing,
See, this is why
Good
everything
thing.
takes so long.
it is. We didn't have time to talk a whole lot before this recording, but no, I would say one of my favorite things about this year has been when we get emails from listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Stacy will share them with us because she's the one who gets them, and then she shares them with us, and they're just so beautiful, and it's humbling.
Yeah.
Like, it's people saying, like, this has had an effect on my life, or I'm going through something very difficult. Would you pray for me? And so we have the opportunity to like engage with the listener in that way, and really pray for them and love them in that way by willing that good for them. And there's been a couple of times when you've sent us an email, Stacy, and I've read it, and I'm just like kind of overwhelmed with like this weight on my shoulder, like, oh my gosh, like this podcast is actually making a difference in people's lives. Like what I actually say is like, impressing upon somebody, and how like that's a weight to bear, kind of, because I don't want to lead anybody astray. I want people to grow in the faith, like in faith in God. And so it's kind of an extra reminder to make sure to pray and to try to grow in my relationship with God myself, so that, I'm not leading people astray, and that, actually doing good through this.
Yeah, and kind of like on a lesser note than the emails. The emails, like, when Alisha mentioned, like, those have been, like, phenomenal. But also, like, this year, something we started new is we added some, we became affiliates with a variety of different places, some through the interviews that we've had, like with Catholic Sprouts and then Tan Books and Blessed is She, and through those things. But I don't remember. It's in our notes. But
Those are them.
But yeah. But just like Stacy telling us, like, that we're getting at, like, people are using them, and thank you for that. But like here, I'm like, oh wow, people. I mean, I know we have downloads. So I know people are actually, like, or at least, you know, listening
to the first 10 minutes.
At least, you know, or at least it's like maybe automatically downloading to their phone. They subscribed or something. You know? But not just that, but like y'all are looking at the notes. You're reading our stuff. Like, you're looking at things and clicking on it. And like that is just a testimony in itself that this is actually reaching people. And yeah, like you said, it's really humbling. It's like, oh. Sorry if I say anything stupid.
But we're also not sorry.
When I say it.
Lauren's just going to be unapologetic.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I'm not sorry, because and we're just human beings, and all of us are, you know, the whole point of this is you guys are our friends. I know that sounds really lame, but like this web of grace that we have extends out to our listeners, and there are listeners who we have prayed for, and you don't know that we've prayed for you by name.
Right.
Yes.
You know, and there are listeners that have prayed for us by name when we've shared struggles. And I am absolutely positive, I know for a fact, that I have been aided toward deeper conversion because of the listeners on this show and because of the women on this show. That's, and part of that, though, is accompaniment and doing stupid stuff together and saying dumb stuff. And so we appreciate you allowing us to do that in your life and be real and say things. We do edit a lot, though.
Some of my favorite moments are probably ones that got edited out.
Stacy keeps those in her vault.
Yeah, someday we will.
I still have them.
It's her blackmail.
We have
I'm so
some lovely
scared.
quotes from Alisha that I don't think have made it on air. But we'll
Do I look like a saint?
sound like
Do I sound like a saint?
Yeah, we have
That's
these
okay.
sound bites that we're holding on to of things that people say that we're
I know,
just
that
going
was
to
a sneak
start
peek.
introducing.
We need to do a bloopers episode. Oh, that'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Guys, we
We
should.
do have a lot of bloopers.
So if you want us to do a bloopers episode, buy something from our affiliate links.
Annie's the social media manager. She has to say that. She's bound by contract to do that.
Although I don't know how a bloopers episode would go. A lot of our like stuff that we
Is it
edit out is
appropriate?
like not appropriate for listeners. So
Or it's super private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
You know,
Well,
it's stuff that we wouldn't say in front of other people.
Or we have to add in the we do not own the rights to this song.
Yeah. But kind of going back to bits and pieces of what everybody said, like Lauren had said earlier about not elevating ourselves or whatever. I think that's been one of the biggest things, especially when I get pushed by my husband. So when is this going to be lucrative and stuff? But I just keep in my heart that wasn't the point to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And we really look. I've really waited for those cues from the Holy Spirit that. Our affiliate links, for example, we didn't even start those until one of those companies approached us first. And then we kind of have grown since then. And if you look back, we've interviewed somebody from each of those two. Yeah. So they still connect to our podcasts and just the listeners. It's like Alisha was saying, the emails have been so beautiful and so intense. And, we feel that, I do feel that weight about, oh man, am I going to mess something up? But then I also think about, who are the two disciples that went and started a riot, and like they went and kind of didn't finish teaching
Oh, because
Jesus.
people,
Jesus
when they
sent
sent them out 2 by 2.
Yeah, when he sent them out 2 by 2, and they had to go kind of clean things up a bit. And so,
Was that scriptural or was that The Chosen?
I think there is like a scriptural.
Okay. I was like, I knew there was something in The Chosen.
The Chosen did do that. Like, the whole episode.
I was like, is this scriptural or is this their made up reason as to why he did this? But
We'll be back to verify that.
Add that to the notes.
We're not biblical scholars. Yeah. This is always funny when we have like a disagreement or a question, and we're like, "Oh wait, we have to look that up first." But, I love that because we do want to be authentic for you guys, and we want to be honest and truthful and spreading that truth and beauty and goodness, while also, in the mess of everything. Because that's been kind of the point, is that we're trying to be the podcast that will talk about hard topics that need to be discussed, and people don't discuss sometimes.
The stuff that we want to know about, the stuff that we're thinking about and wondering about and struggling with.
And like Annie said, having those updates that somebody's used our affiliate link come in, and just seeing how much support is out there has been amazing too.
It's not really about like the fact that there was like maybe pennies coming in or anything. It's really
We're not
just
getting rich,
seeing,
guys.
No. But
eventually there'll be some upgraded equipment. But we love just sitting around like what we're doing. But I know like one of the things that we did this week that was a fun episode. I thought was when we did the Secrets and Dreams episode, and we talked like one of the things that came up on there was just dreaming of pilgrimages and and travel.
I get emails asking when we're going to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
We haven't sent those emails.
Oh, maybe they're just personal messages. I don't think they're through our email. I get
messages.
We're working on it. We have stuff in the works. It's just we're trying to figure out what we want to do there.
Yeah.
So hang tight. We'll get it to you.
Yeah, I thought that was like just the fact that just that little bit in the conversation has sparked this possibility and this idea that at some point in the future, oh wait, maybe we could do something like
Totally
that.
could.
Maybe not on the grand scale that Lauren and Stacy dream about right off the bat.
Yet.
Right off the bat. Yeah. But it's just kind of just those little things that happen that have, brought these like bigger ideas and like, this growth in, our group here.
I think this year of all the years, I've really enjoyed that we get mixed feedback with interviews, and we get mixed feedback even within our own selves with interviews. I think looking back on this, I actually really enjoyed the lasting fruit that came from those interviews because I felt like they were carefully selected. They were really important stuff that we're dealing with. And I'm still thinking about the stuff that we talked about. And it's like I'm still thinking about the things that Alexander Greeley said about food and understanding where your food comes from and why it's so important to be connected to it. And then I think about Nancy's incredible, like that transgenderism episode was just so good. Like I felt it was one of my favorites for sure. Because I feel like, again, that these are things that we can come back to over and over again if we forget.
Right, and I'm currently doing Jen's program with Tighten
With
Your Tinkler.
Yeah.
And it's been helpful.
Sister Maria's episode. I didn't even know I was going to need that the next month, right? Right after we interviewed
right,
her.
that's when you
so
found
we
out
got
that your
dad,
dad was sick. That's right.
That was so much fun to have Sister come over and record with us.
We need to do more of that. Like I want
she
more
was able
in-house.
to paint, and we wish we had kept it recording because she stayed for a good hour or more after just telling stories that probably she wouldn't have wanted us to record, but but they're just hilarious, but also really deep stories as well. But
we'll see. And I will say, like with the interviews, I only got to be a part of one of them. Because I can't remember why. Like, I was either sick or dealing with sick people or something. And so I wasn't able to come. I think I showed up at the end of Sister Maria, and I got to listen to the part that wasn't recorded. And all of us were like, oh, we should have. But the one that I was a part of was at the Health, Healing, and Intimacy with Jen. And I was very pleased. I thought that was such a good discussion because it was so much about, like, it just integrated so much of, like, God's grace within us and our dignity and the human body and stuff. And, like, I think we have this idea in our culture right now that the body doesn't really matter, that you can do whatever you want to with the body, that you can change whatever you want to. And so it's, you know, talking about how, like, we are a body and soul composite and how it's beautifully linked, and that you cannot, you know, you can't take them away from one another, and it matters what you do with your body because your body is dignified and it's beautiful. And I love that conversation.
And that was just a good weekend too. We started it with helping Lauren get some stuff out of her car, and we started with the interview with Jen, and then we helped Lauren get some stuff out of her car because we were all at a conference together that weekend, and it was just That
was also the weekend that I got the flu.
So it was like
it was a good weekend, but at the same time,
but none of us got it, and we were all like face to face with each other and hanging out, and we never got it. Like we should have gotten it.
I was sick for a while.
I know, and none of us got it, which I think is crazy because we were in a tiny hotel room recording. And when she told me she had the flu, I was like, oh my gosh.
We're all going to be sick.
It's fine, but we just have to make it through tomorrow. Because remember, at first we didn't know if it was the flu. We were like, oh no, it was a COVID. But it's too late now. So there was that moment where we were like, oh no. And none of us got sick. And it was such a blessed weekend. And it was so,
It's probably the alcohol.
There is a thing about that. Like that it can actually, yes. Can coat the throat.
It's a good thing I had you're all seconds, huh?
I only had my one. We got some complimentary drinks. We got like 2 each, and I only got my one because I was like, oh nope, I gotta cut myself off. I'm a lightweight, and so Stacy took mine. Yeah, she's
Stacy
hardcore.
And I. Okay, here's the deal. See, Stacy and I. I don't want to put a negative spin on it, but if there were drinkers in our group, it's going to be us too. And we are not heavy drinkers or even regular drinkers, but
nowadays
we do enjoy the gift that God has given us in alcohol.
I mean,
it is a great.
What do you think those grapes out there are going to be?
She's got a vineyard about 100 feet that way. So
I was listening to, I can't remember, maybe it was Father Mike Schmidt, I can't remember, but he was talking about drinking and, like, you know, is it a sin to drink and everything like that? Because I had a little bit of a, like, scrupulous, like, what should I do about this kind of thing? And he was talking about how, like, you know, drinking to excess, getting drunk, yes, it's a sin. Every single time. I used to think I was told by Catholics that, no, it's just drunkenness. You can't get drunk all the time. No, it's actually just getting drunk. That's really funny. That's the sin. So if you didn't know that, I'm like, you know, don't shoot the messenger. But like, he was talking about how, what was it, like C.S. Lewis and his friend, that one guy, what was his name? Tolkien. They would meet together. They would meet together in this bar, and like they would talk over drinks, you know, and they would, and they would, you know, like, and it wasn't to get drunk, but it was just to enjoy themselves with one another, to enhance that, you know, that just fun.
Enhances the conversation. Enhances openness.
Yeah,
you know, it allows you to think about things in a different way.
I just fall asleep.
Well, and like Jesus, you know, he went to the thing, and he, you know, this is always the thing that people say, but it's true. Like, if Jesus didn't think it was okay to drink at all, drink any alcohol, he wouldn't have made it because he's not going to sin. So,
well, part of it is our culture too. Like, we have this problem in our culture of just feeding the body and addiction and craving, and that being the prime source of our motivation is to ease the pain, escape the suffering. And that's a cultural thing that's been built into us for some reason. And so, you know, but Stacy and I don't seem to be encumbered by that as much.
Well,
that's because we're not usually trying to ease our suffering through that. We're just
enjoying ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and I don't like the feeling of being drunk or tipsy. So, like, if I start feeling that way, I automatically will cut myself off.
See, I stopped myself from drinking. I will not drink alcohol anymore. Partly because I'm pregnant now.
Yay!
Announcement! But,
curveball.
Yeah. But also because, like, I decided this prior to getting pregnant because I have a tendency, like, when I start drinking, I want to get drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is a very big temptation for me. And so I just want to, like, skip past the buzz and just get to the drunk because I like it. And so I just decided, because it's too much of a temptation, I just don't do it. And it makes me a little sad because we'll be all, like, hanging out. And they're like, hey, you know, you want this really sweet, you know, good drink here. And I really do.
I was talking to a friend about this, and she was saying that, like, she and her husband kind of did that, like, as together, stopped drinking, but they did a year, and then they, like, well, after about a year of it, they, like, discerned, like, well, now we're going to do, like, just social, like, when we're around people. But she's like, I feel like it was, like, my body, like, even though I wasn't drinking in excess ever or anything, it's like any type of thing that, like, your body maybe needs, like, a detox from for a while. And like, was this a healthy, like, you know, those 30-day sugar things or something like that. So, so that, you know, maybe just, I mean, naturally you get 9 months of it anyways. So.
Yeah. Well, I just have an addictive personality, unfortunately. But, well, no, you're talking about...
I love you.
Well, no, you're talking about, like, the avoiding suffering. I think that brought to mind our episode about living purgatory, living out of purgatory while here on earth. I love that topic because life is going to have suffering. You cannot avoid it as much as you try, as much as people try to dull down their senses to try to avoid the suffering that is inevitable, that is currently going on in your life. Like, it's going to happen, but when you bring God into it, that's when he can make something beautiful and he can change you from the inside out. And like oftentimes the suffering becomes something that's beautiful either in the moment, or you can look back and say, wow, God was there for me and that was beautiful. You know, like, because I don't know, I've heard people say before, you know, like, everything happens for a reason. I don't like that saying because I grew up with people saying basically then therefore it's a free for all and it doesn't really matter what happens because everything happens for a reason. You just have to look at, no, like, if, you know, for instance, if somebody sins against you in a really horrible way, no, that did not happen for a reason just because, you know, that was supposed to happen to you. No, absolutely not. I hate it when people say that. But God can make something beautiful out of it. He can take a rubbish heap and he can turn it into something absolutely gorgeous. And so, anyway, it's just living out the suffering that you are going to be either going to be inflicted upon you or that you inflict upon yourself through your sin and your attachments. And even when something's inflicted on you, it often reveals to us something that we're attached to.
Yeah. And wounds can create attachment.
Yeah.
There's a great resource. Annie, our kids are studying it now, and we've studied it with in our homeschool, The King of the Golden City. I would highly recommend that every person within the sound of our voices right now purchase that book, the study guide version of it preferably. If you want to teach your children what it really means to follow Christ and to say no to themselves, to deal with suffering in a way that is completely easy for a child to understand and accept, and that will prep their heart to say yes to Jesus, this book is the one for this. It talks about that. It talks about the suffering that everyone endures, and it talks about those on the narrow road. This is an allegory. Those on the narrow road don't suffer any less or more than those on the wide road. The difference is that they have help along the way, and that the king sends his messengers to guide and save them and sends friends. And the way they described it, I mean, we can't go into it now, but it was just so beautiful.
I'd love to have that book.
I love that both of you brought that up as we're starting to wrap up things, because right before you said anything, I was thinking that was kind of our theme of this year. About, I mean, we've always talked about journeying together and being there for one another, but I feel like this year has really focused on being a companion isn't taking somebody's suffering away from them, but that it is moving with them in their suffering, being there with them in their suffering, finding those beautiful moments in the suffering. And I feel like it's, if we look back at all of our episodes, maybe not every single one, but it's been a very prevalent theme in this third year that we've had. And I'm really excited to see what year 4 brings. And I'm so glad to be doing this with you ladies.
And we love you all.
Yes, thank you for listening. You guys have been a blessing. We can't do this without you. So
Pray for us, please, as we pray for you.
Yes, and as always, if you have anything you would like to send us, feel free to email us. Our email is in the show notes, and we would love to pray for you, hear your story, and of course, I'll get it and share it with everybody here at the table. So,
what do you want us to talk about? Yes. What's on your heart? What's on your mind? We have 0 plans, y'all. Like, we have a blank page, and that's how the wild goose likes it, right, Stacy?
Yes.
So, like, you guys tell us, where's the Holy Spirit moving you? Where do you need help walking through a certain issue or a certain thing in your life? What have we not talked about ever that you want us to talk about? Let us know. We're probably going through it too. So,
thanks for joining us for this anniversary episode, and we look forward to another year with you. And it's your child. In true Coffee and Catholics fashion. Thank you all. And as always, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Join us again in 2 weeks. Until then, may God bless you and may Mary accompany you. Coffee and Catholics is a proud partner of the Smart Catholics Podcast Network. Find new shows to love, meet like-minded Catholics, and join the community at smartcatholics.com.